Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Caregiver and Spoonie podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas, and let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, I have a very important question here, especially with everything that's going on around right now due to the pandemic and the election and everything that's going on in the whole freaking world, I guess, in this situation. But the question is, what are you taking in? What are you taking in? Let me repeat that again. What are you taking in? And the answer to this is very important. And let me tell you here why. Now, a lot of people, and I didn't understand this very well until I had to do a lot of research and read books about it and listen to actual doctors that talk about this, like psychologists like Dr. Daniel Amen and Uma Naidu, who it turns out, I just want to point this out, there are what they call nutritional psychologists, which that's a topic for a completely different episode, which I'm going to talk about in another episode, but it's pretty interesting. Okay, when I heard about it, I was like, what? So let's keep going with this episode. And like I was saying, like, this is very important in regards to know what you're taking in. It could be in regards to your food, it could be in regards to what you listen, what you read, what you watch on TV, because what we read or listen or watch can affect our moods. So if we're listening to somebody that is very aggressive, sometimes, and you know what? It has happened to me actually, where I'm listening to, I guess I'm listening to Mexican music. Mexican music tends to be sometimes very aggressive. It talks about cartels, it talks about murder, it talks about well, certain kind of music. Not all of Mexican music, but like the cartel music, let's just say it like that. It talks about like murder and all these drugs and everything. And now that I think back, I'm looking back and when I used to listen to it, I stopped listening to it because I wanted to try this out. I was kind of aggressive, but at the same time, I was listening to songs saying like, "Oh, if you mess with me, I will kill you. I will chop you. I will chop your body into pieces, and I will drop you into the lake." You know, songs like that. So that's very aggressive, and I was like, wow, that is very aggressive, until I was able to, pay attention to the lyrics. Even though I will listen to it, I wasn't really paying attention. But here's what happens in those type of situations. No matter what you're listening to, reading, or anything like that, you may say like, but I don't really pay attention to it when I'm listening to it or when I'm reading it to it. The problem is that your subconscious doesn't know about this. The subconscious, unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about it in a different episode, because that's a whole different animal just by itself. But like I was saying, like, it can affect your mood, it can affect the way that you feel about others, it can affect the way that you feel about yourself. Because if we keep taking negative stuff all the time, our perception becomes negative. Like, and I'm not political, I'm not for anybody or anything like that, this is not gonna go political, but for example, with the news, I keep hearing like, with the virus and everything, everybody's like making it look like it's bad. Yes, it's bad. But the way that they make it sound like it's almost like the end of the world. And then you have people that are going to start to feel like it's the end of the world. But it might not be. I mean, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is very new. This is just from my perspective. The way that I see it is like, and that's why I had to change my perspective from a negative perspective, because I used to watch the news all the time, read about it, and everything that I was reading, and I never pay attention until I did the research about this, is that everything that I was reading was so negative that my perception became very negative. Like, I was almost like a downer, literally. Like the person that was like, for example, people would say like, not right now, this is just an example of things that I would do in the past, where people will say like, oh, they're coming out with a vaccine, and I will be like, yeah, but it's not gonna work. I was like that kind of downer because of everything being so negative. And I know a lot of people that actually in that same situation right now where they just keep watching the TV on the news, or I mean the news on the TV, or read the newspapers, read everything negative, and then they become negative. And the problem is that sometimes you start like projecting that negativity. Even like this didn't happen to me and I didn't do it. This is a conversation that somebody asked me to share in one of my episodes because the person got mad. We were at work. We were at work, and I don't mean to laugh in like a disrespectful way. I just think it was funny because I was like, wow, that's so bad. Like the person has cancer, and the person that has cancer said to this other person who is very negative, hey, like, oh, you know what, I'm getting better, I'm going to this treatment, it's supposed to be the treatment that I need. And the negative person says, yeah, but you're gonna die anyway. And everybody's like looking at the negative person, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, you're that negative, you're such a downer. And then the negative person continues with, they always say that you survive, but the news are wrong. There are other news, and they say like what kind of news they watch, and they say like in the news, in this particular news, they always say like people with cancer will die, so you're gonna die. And everybody was like, whoa, like you have to be so negative. So sometimes you're actually gonna start doing things like that without even knowing it. It's because and you do it almost like in an automatic setting on your brain, pretty much, like just like you're in automatic, you're going in auto mode or automatic mode, where you just start like projecting everything you see, talking about everything you read, doing everything that you're looking at, literally. And one of the things that this happens in this type of situation, and let's see, give me 1 second here. This got all messed up. Never mind. So one of the things that can happen with this, if you keep watching negative stuff all the time, I'm not saying like, oh, don't watch the news. What you have to do in this type of situations is like watch the news, but at the same time understand that you have a different perspective than the one that they're trying to give you. Try to see it from different perspectives, which is hard. I mean, it took me years. I will say like it took me like 3 years to understand how to see from different perspectives, like, so I understand that it's hard. It's not going to be easy. But one of the things that this is going to do, if you keep watching everything that is negative, reading everything that is negative, you're going to get stressed out. It's going to stress you out. And that's for sure. That's one of the things that was happening to me. Like, I kept watching the news. They were negative all the time. I was getting stressed out until I decided not to watch them anymore, or try to say like, I'm gonna watch this, but it's not my perspective. It's not. I'm just gonna understand where they're coming from, but I'm not gonna take it in as if it's true, or if it's as if it's my reality. That's pretty much one of the things that you have to understand. You have to understand that what they say on the news is not your reality. So it's going to stress you out. It can make you angry as well, which is one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes they're just so angry. And this is one of the things that happened to me. Growing up, all I would see on the news in Mexico, it was death. It was corruption. It was nothing nice, to be honest. Like, it was always people fighting, like one group of people fighting with the other group of people, poor people fighting for rich people against rich people saying that poor people are bad. Like, that's all I grew up with. I saw all of that growing up in Mexico. That was the pretty much what was in the news. So I was angry because I was like, how can they have that? Why do they have that and I can't? Like, I started taking part of it at a very young age. So you have to make sure that your kids are not watching the news at a very young age, because they start absorbing it like it's their reality. So it's going to give them anxiety. They're going to get angry because of current events, like especially with everything that's going on right now with the pandemic. They might be stressed out. They might be angry because they don't know what's going on. Adults are not explaining it to them, and they want to know, but it's not like they want to know to to do something about it. It's like, so they deserve to know what's going on so they can understand it. And if they just keep watching the news saying like, oh, this many people have passed away, which is horrible. It is horrible that that many people have passed away due to the virus, or to the violence that's been happening around the country or around the world. The kids are going to be like, wow, this is what I'm growing up in, so I have to prepare to fight. So you can go into a fight mode. Like one of the things that happened to me by watching the news like that growing up is like, in my mind is like, I always have to look over my shoulder. Like, that's how I grew up. And you don't want the same thing for your kids or anybody, because it's not a nice way to grow up. Like, I honestly grew up like that, because in Mexico, again, I'm from a different country, so I'm giving you a completely different perspective of how hard it can be or how hard it can get. Where in Mexico, when I was growing up, there were a lot of children going missing, and they will put it in TV. They will show, like, on the news, like when they will find the bodies, and they will find like without organs, like they will put it on TV or in the newspaper, and I will read about it. I will listen to it, and going to the stores, I will always look over my shoulder because I was scared, and you don't want that. So if you keep watching negative stuff, or listening to negative things, it's gonna make you scared. It's gonna make you react to something that might not be even there. Like you might be I don't want to say overreacting, but you might be too stressed out because of everything that you hear, that you might see something that might look like it's going to happen to you. Like somebody might approach you and you say like, oh, this person is going to attack me. So you're going to go into your defense mode, which is fine, but you might be doing it towards the wrong person, like it could be a cop, it could be somebody that's just trying to ask you for help or something like that, and then you do something that you might regret. It happens, that's why we have road rage. Like sometimes you get too stressed out, and things like that just happen. Like somebody gets mad for something because somebody did something, that person might be already stressed out and decides to let the anger out. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about. And one thing that at least I know I've been doing, and it has worked for me, is that I had to turn off the news until I was able to understand that whatever they said is not my reality. And another thing, and this is proven with science, by neuroscience, that if you watch something funny when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're stressed, it's actually going to help you feel a little bit better, because you start releasing oxytocin, dopamine, all these happy hormones in your brain, and then your body's going to be able to relax. So one of the things that I do is that I like to watch funny videos on Facebook. Like when I know I'm stressed, even I shouldn't be saying this, but even when I'm stressed at work, I do it. I take like 5 minutes, and I watch like a funny video, and I laugh, and then I start feeling better, and I get back to work. So you can try something like that. But what you need to ask yourself is, what am I taking in? Am I taking something that's good for me and for my current reality, or something that's feeding me negative stuff that is actually affecting my reality? Because depending on what you're taking in, it's going to affect your life. You might say like, oh, it's just TV. I don't know. I don't really pay attention. But like I said, like, and you can Google this. Like this is done. The research has been done by neuroscientists, psychologists. You can actually Google it, and you will see that what you watch, what you take in, it's going to be pretty much how you create your own reality. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. So be careful with what you take in, because it can affect the way that you see your own reality. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, your feedback, your emails. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for the new followers, the new supporters, the new listeners. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want to share your story, don't forget to send it to me at the Caregiver and Spoonie@gmail.com. You can also post it on the community page. And also, don't forget to share it. We want to make, well, don't forget to share the podcast and the page and the community, because we want to make this grow, so we can, so everybody can feel like there's support for everybody. That's pretty much what this is all about. And like I have mentioned before, there are changes on the podcast coming. There are good changes. Everything is going better. I think all thanks to you. So I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you for that. And I'll leave you like always. As always, take care of yourself and have a good day.